I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, as I mentioned earlier, and still looking for business opportunities, investment opportunities. And in the office complex, which I had my office, and which I mentioned earlier, there was a banker who had just retired from the president of the largest bank in Arizona, Valley National Bank. And he had put together a group of retired businessmen. I was one of which I was, and that would do consulting work for people who wanted some kind of help and advice in business situations. He brought a young man who lived in El Paso, Texas, into a meeting one day, and the young man he was an engineer. He had developed the idea of growing catfish in a environmentally controlled facility that could be built anywhere in the world, in a desert place, to provide fresh fish for a local market. And the design of the facility was such that the water that was used in the system for growing the fish was recirculated, purified, used over and over, so you didn't have to be tied into a large body of water for your supply of fresh water. We decided to finance that venture, and we built a large building, and inside put in fish tanks, filtration system. We started out trying to build a fully developed commercial system for fish farming. Well, it turned out the design, everything that the engineer designed and built was built in concrete, which is very hard to change the design if it isn't right. We found out after about 5 years of trying to make the system commercially viable, we found out that the design was just not going to work. And we eventually had to go into that building and take jackhammers and tear out all that concrete and sell the building. We had a great tax write-off. That failure taught me to never take a new idea, a new business venture, and try to start full-blown. Take it a step at a time and prove the theory is right before you try to go full bore. I would say that if you are going to succeed, you will have some failures along the path. And don't be discouraged by the threat of failure. If you don't try, you will never succeed. You'll never create a new venture. And so trust your instincts and your judgment, but if you fail in a venture, pick yourself up. I remember the story about, I think it was Thomas Edison, who ran, I don't remember the numbers now, but maybe 10,000 experiments trying to develop an electric lamp before he finally succeeded on it. If he had been disappointed with his early failures, he would have given up, but he had confidence in him, in his idea, and he did not let failure stop him. In the school year 1940-41, that was the year that I was acting as student athletic director for intramural sports. We had the idea, a group of basketball players had the idea that we would like to go down to Bethany, Oklahoma and play basketball against the Bethany team. It happened that one of the students who had been at Old Olivet, his name was Morris Chalfin, and Morris had transferred from Olivet to Bethany. So he was our contact person there. And I went to Dr. Parrott and asked him if he'd have objection to our trying to schedule a home and home series of basketball games between Bethany and Olivet. And as I remember, his answer, among maybe some other advice that he gave me, was don't try to make too big a deal out of it, because intercollegiate athletics was not high on the agenda among many of our trustees at that time. And so we arranged to have, and my brother, who was a senior, I was a junior at Olivet, and 4 other of our best basketball players crowded into a little Ford automobile, and we drove non-stop all the way to Bethany and played a 2-game series there, which we split. And then a month or so later, a group of players from Bethany came up to Kankakee, to Bourbonnais, and we were going to play a 2-game series at Olivet. Well, in preparation for that game, a small group of the basketball players got together, and we said, if we're going to have this big event, which was a big event in those days, if we're going to have this big event here, we need to decorate the gym. And we decided we needed to get a program for the event. We went around to some of the merchants in the neighborhood and got them to pay up a few dollars to enable us to print a program. We decided that if we were going to select colors to decorate the gym with, we had one of our intramural sports teams had some basketball uniforms. In those days, we did not play in shorts, as some of you may or may not know, but we had to play in long pants. So we had what we call warm-up suits. And we had gone up to Maxwell Street in Chicago, the famous discount area that you could go up and buy almost any kind of clothing at big discounts. We bought some basketball uniforms, and they were made out of beautiful gold satin. And so we decided to use gold and purple for decorating the gym to go along with our gold uniforms. And then the same little group of basketball players decided we ought to have some kind of a mascot for Olivet. And we kicked around different ideas, and we finally came up that it would be good to have the team called the Olivet Tigers. And that's how it started. We were sitting around in my dorm room up on the top floor of the was then the boys' dormitory.
Do you remember who was in that room?
The basketball players that were probably in that room was Burl Spross, my brother Henry, Wendell Wellman, was, and these are the players that we took to Oklahoma to play Bethany. Incidentally, we split games at Oklahoma, and we also split games when they came up here. So we never did get to have a playoff game. I am quite confident that that's the first time there was any kind of intercollegiate activity on campus.
And what year would that have been again?
That was the year of 1940-41, the school year 40-41. Mim and I have both been
And tennis.
designated as so-called Olivet All-Stars.
Right.
She for her basketball and I for my basketball. Me for my basketball. Morris was a great athlete. He was really, in my judgment, at least up through our era, he was probably the best all-around athlete that Olivet ever had. Well, I'll start, and Mim can add what she would like. I grew up in a minister's home, and I grew up through my teenage years during the terrible 30s of the Depression. So I was well acquainted as a young man with the fact that sacrifice and life is not always easy. And I think that stood me in good stead over the years to understand that life is hard sometimes, but life is also rewarding if you apply yourself and do your due diligence, and hard work comes as a part of the program, and dedication, confidence in yourself. There is, I think, either call it an element of luck or divine guidance that plays a role in directing our lives. I can look back and see that I came to crossroads in my life, and the path that I might have taken, who knows where it would have led. And fortunately, the pathway that I chose most of the time turned out well. If your moral compass is off, you're not going to end up on the right path. Probably the best advice I could give you is you can't always depend on yourself alone. To reach real success, you have to have a team. And if you're going to be in management, you have to learn to delegate authority. You have to learn when to say no and when to give encouragement. It's a learning process, and you'll learn by your mistakes more than you'll learn from your successes. Olivet Nazarene University, we believe you belong here.